Right, hello. So I thought today I would show you the process of making these leaves. They're made out of scraps of paper. Let's see if I can just find some. Sorry, I've got a very squeaky, creaky chair. Looking to see if I could find some separate ones, which I had. Here we are. Sorry. Here we are. That's the back. This is the front. They're all completely different. Let me just put a little bit of white paper so you can see them individually. Not very organised today. There we are. They're quite sort of distressed leaves. Distressed looking. Yeah, that's the type of thing. They're quite thin, but they're quite thin on purpose because I create the distressed looks with an incense stick, just burning them. So they need to be fairly thin to be able to be burnt easily. So I'll just pop those out of the way. So I've used them on this page along with a lot of layers in the background. But we'll create the leaves today. Set that aside out the way. So this is newsprint paper. I bought a big ream of it. I think it's about £15, but there's about 500 sheets, twice the size of this. So it's nice and thin. It doesn't particularly take ink clearly. If you stamp, it blurs. But it's great for collaging because it's nice and thin. As you can see things through it. So that's going to be our base. I've got some rusty tissue, a nice lot of rusting powder on it, which has made it nice and rusty, obviously. I've got some book pages. I've got some fairly pale ones there. Some mid-tone ones here, and then some darker ones. They look like they've been tea stained, but they haven't. It's just the colour of the dictionary, so they're quite dark. I've also got some of this thin white paper, which is Chinese calligraphy paper. Show you the packet. There we are. Produced for Daiso, Japan. So Japanese calligraphy paper for practicing. 100 sheets. I've had it quite a long time, and it's great because it's nice and thin again. So it's nice for jelly printing and it's nice for collaging. So what I might do is just do half of this sheet so that hopefully it'll fit in this screen and we'll do it quickly. And then you'll get the idea. So we'll just tear that in. We'll have the flat bit. Right. So I've got my Yoo-Hoo glue stick. I used to use Pritt sticks, but I just got to the end of my tether with them. They were just useless. I love Yoo-Hoo. Seth Apter uses Avery, but I can't get that in the UK, so I use Yoo-Hoo, and I think it's as good as anything. So basically it's just a case of randomly collaging all over this sheet. Don't think about it, just slap it on. Doesn't matter if you overlap the edges because we're going to cut it up later. and you want the papers to be overlapping one another. Doesn't matter if there's some numbers. Hopefully this will be in screen. I'm trying to get it so it is. In fact, I'll just stand up and check. Yes, we are. What else have we got? Some of this. Oops. It doesn't matter if you do that sort of thing because we're going to cover it all up. And don't be precious about which way your writing goes. Doesn't matter if it's upside down, right way around, matters not. I tend to avoid blank spaces like that. Just because I find them quite boring. And if you've got bits like this, a bit more glue. So we've got fairly dark bits everywhere. We'll just put a bit more dark there. I must admit I do tend to try and keep vertical or horizontal rather than diagonal. I just find it more pleasing to my eye, but I am a bit OCD, so what have we got? I'll have a bit of this in this corner. Ooh, no, I want a bit of... Saying that, that's a bit diagonal, but it's fine. See what else have we got. As I say, if you go over the edge, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't really matter what size or shape your scraps are as well. You can fill little bits in like this with just little linear bits. No, I don't want that. Just have a bit more over there. I've just noticed that's raising up a bit, so we'll have a bit of glue on there. Right, so we're nearly covered. So now I'm just going to put a little few scraps of this white on the top. Let's make sure we've got plenty of glue. You can put the glue on the back of your pieces of paper. Have a glue book at the side and put your bits of paper on there and put them on that way, but I just like slapping it on here. I don't have to think about it particularly then. And I'm just filling gaps in. Just notice that's raising up a bit as well. We'll just... a bit over there. Gesso. Bit in the middle here. You could do this with matte medium or PVA glue watered down. Anything like that would be fine. But I tend to just use a glue stick because it's easy. I find it a lot easier than anything else. Now I do try and avoid straight lines like that. I'm not very happy with that, but I'll cover it up later. Right, I think we'll just have a bit down there of the white. Right, so now I'll just get rid of those over there. Oh, that seems to want to be on, so we'll stick it on there. We've got our rusty tissue, so I'm going to roll it into a ball, open it out a little bit and just pull it apart so I get random scraps. Nice random organic shapes like this. Now I haven't got very much glue left, that's still sticky. So where we've got gaps I'll put a bit more glue again. And we'll just go in with our tissue. Just open it out and you get lovely little random bits. And then you can just bob them on wherever you've got glue. Well, that's quite a big bit, so that's a bit big. We'll have that taken down a bit. And I don't like straight edges, so we'll have that taken off. It doesn't matter if it curls over and buckles round. It's fine. As you see, when we put the next layer on, it will all become very cohesive and sort of blend. Right, I haven't got much glue on there at all. That's it. A bit of glue there. Down here, we need a bit over here and a little bit there. I sometimes forget where I put the glue, but the tissue soon finds it. Have a bit over here. Oh yes, there's glue there. We've got a bit of glue there, we'll go in there. I do like the rusty tissue on these leaves because it just gives them a real autumn feel. There we are, that's just come off with my finger. I think we need a bit here. Right, I think that'll do. Sometimes I just put a bit of glue on with my finger on the top, just for any bits that aren't stuck down. Right, I think that's it. So I'm going to just dry that with my heat gun to make sure it's all dry. Just neaten it up a little bit. And then I'll come back and do the next piece. Right, so we're back. It's more or less dry. I've got some white gesso which I keep in this squeegee bottle because it's just easier just to squirt it out on my glass mat if I've got it in there. It's PBO white gesso. Spatula, get a bit smaller one, this one will do. And I'm just going to pick up a little bit and then just basically randomly smear it over everywhere. You can go as thick or as thin as you want with this. It just makes it a little bit more cohesive. It's just less sort of, it makes all the papers look as if they belong together. That's what cohesive is. And it highlights some of the texture on the rusty tissue, and it covers up any big blocks of anything you don't want really. So it's just dab it on till it's gone. Yeah, that's about it. Don't overthink it, just go for it. Don't do big splodges. You don't want big bulky bits. You want to be able to see the text through it, and you also want to be able to see the papers through it, sort of like the rusty papers. Like this, quite a big piece there, but you can still see the text through it. So that's the general idea. So I'll dry this and then we'll do the stamping, which is the next step. Right, we're on to the next step. I've got my Ranger Archival ink in jet black. It's a very worn ink pad, but I'll just keep re-inking it. We'll eventually get a new one. And I've got this little stamp which is from PaperArtsy. It's a mini. It's MN124 and I absolutely love it. I use it for just about everything because it is fab for just adding texture. So I'm going to, you can tell I've always used the top a lot more. So I'm going to use the bottom just to even it up a bit and just randomly add stamping. I tend to always go the same way, as in I don't sort of bob about and go different directions, but that's just me. And don't forget you can do second generation stamping as well as first generation stamping, because then you get a paler look. So that's enough to give some texture to the white areas without completely getting rid of them. So it's just added a bit more interest. So the next step is to turn it over. Just get rid of my stamp. And I used to tend to do this with a pencil, but you can do it with whatever you want. And it's quite good to do it from the back because you don't actually think about which bits of the paper you're using for your leaves. It's very random. So turn it over and I just draw some leaves basically. Do fairly biggish ones, I think this time. To the shape shall we do? We'll go out a bit, straightish, and then up, and then in again. Don't ask me what these trees are called. I used to know, but I've forgotten. And then we'll do another big one. No, that's not quite right. You see, we're doing it with pencil. You can always redo it. And we'll do another one where we're quite broad at the top. And then come in like that. And then you can do little ones in between so that you don't lose anything. You don't lose any of these little bits. Even little tiny ones. Does not really matter. I'll probably just cut out a couple of these to show you and work on those. Just going to make that a little bit darker just so I can see it. That's it. Right, now the scissors I use for this are called thinning scissors. They're hairdressing scissors. I was cheeky and I asked my hairdresser if she had any that she was getting rid of, and luckily enough she was throwing a pair out, because hairdressers are very sort of precious about their scissors, and once they start to get the tiniest bit blunt, that's it, they get rid of them. So I asked her if she had any and she said yes, I'm just throwing a pair out. So I said, can I be cheeky, can I buy them off you? She said you can have them, they're just going in the bin. I'll show you on the edge here what effect they give. It's easier to see on a blank bit. Can you see it's a serrated edge, which is ideal for the leaves, absolutely ideal for the leaves. If you haven't got these, don't worry, what you can do is cut them out with normal scissors and then just rough the edge up so it isn't perfect. So I'm just going to, as I say, I'll probably just do a couple of these. And just be aware that these thinning scissors only give the serrated edge one way. If you sort of didn't turn, I'm trying to keep in shot, if you didn't use the scissors this way, that way you wouldn't get the serrated edge on the edge of your leaf. So there we are, that's one leaf. Let's do one of these. Whoops, went a bit too far. There we are, and that's a different shaped leaf. There we are. Shall I do the other two? Yeah, might as well. At this point, if it was anybody else's video, I'd be saying, oh, come on, we don't need to see you cut out the other leaves. Right, we've got 3. That's enough. You don't need to see me cutting out more leaves. Right, and I wouldn't be mean about it. I'd just be thinking it to myself. Right, so the next step is burning them. So I tend to get incense stick. I always make sure that I have some water, which I always have a couple of pots of water on my desk, and a wet baby wipe, because you can just dab this onto the paper to put it out. I also have a spray bottle handy as well. Now, let's see, where's my lighter? What I will do just before I do this step is I'm going to take this sepia ink and just ink the edges of my leaves. It just gives them, it just frames the leaves a little bit. You can either do this, you can do black, you can do yes, the other one, vintage photo. Vintage photo is very nice. These have got quite a lot of rust on, so I'm going to do these with rust. This is just a makeup sponge, and this is Ranger Archival, again in sepia. Oh yeah, that's it. Right, so which one? I quite fancy that one. We'll start with this one. What you can do is, if you want, you can mark out just roughly and just very vaguely some veins on the leaf, just in pencil, just to give it a sort of a look of a leaf. You don't, again, this is quite optional. And it just sort of enhances the look of it, I think. It's just very rough. There we are. I'll start with this one. Right, so I have had a video. I've had a video before about burning paper. So if you've watched that one, you'll get the gist of it. Basically, we let our incense stick get nice and glowy at the tip. Keep our wet baby wipe to hand. Blow it out. I'll try not to get too much smoke everywhere. These do smoke a bit, these new ones I've got. And then you just touch the incense stick to the paper. Because it's nice and thin, it burns through. I tend to like little areas on the side. And I let it run a little bit, because it's quite nice when it runs away. If you want to stop it, baby wipe on it. And I quite like the contrast of the black with the pale bits of paper. I'll try and keep the smoke down a bit. As I say, these smoke a little bit more than the last lot I got. Sometimes if there's 2 or 3 layers of paper, it takes a little bit to get through, and sometimes I have to relight the stick. Come on, go through. That's it, it's gone. But I do like the edges to come in from the edges. And as I say, you can do as little or as less as little or as more as you like, as much as you like. Just get rid of that soot out of the way. Alright, so you get that idea. Now once it is I've made sure it's completely out, I then get a stiff brush and just brush away any loose. It just gets rid of any loose bits that are there. So you can see it's got the loose there. If you've got any little bits, I had a bit of paper there that was just lifting a little bit, because sometimes I just miss a bit. Just put a little bit of glue from your glue stick on your finger underneath and it's sorted. So that's the general idea of them. So you can see we've got a nice burning bit here and here and here. I could do some more down here. There's a blank space down there. I could do a little bit more there. If my incense stick is still alive enough. It's glowing. Ah, there we are here. We've gone through. That's it. I'll just stop it. It's an easy way to stop it, is to just dab your wet wipe onto it. Unless there's flames, obviously, so you don't want to burn yourself. And always, always have a fire extinguisher next to you, either on the floor down here, just in case. But there we are. That is our burnt and distressed autumn leaf. So I hope you like that. I hope you give it a go. And I would love to see what you've done. If you tag me on social media, if you follow me.